And so how do you get to that place of absolute trust? You have to trust in self, because you're always looking outside of self, thinking, I'm trusting in the universe, I am trusting in God, or whatever, it has my back. But really, from our perspective, in which you will begin to have a greater awareness of at the time of death, when you leave the physical form and you ascend into higher consciousness, you will see that whatever the label is that you have for God or the universe is not separate from you, but is you, dwells within you, that you are a part of that. And so it is not about trusting outside of self, but trusting your own self, which means that to any place in your human experience where you're not trusting yourself, or you're in denial of something, you need to bring it to the surface, face it square on, bring compassion and love to it, and be honest with yourself. A lot of you all talk about integrity and being honest with others and speaking your truth. And that's all very important. But are you speaking your truth to yourself? And are there hidden places in which you are not honest with yourself? And I would like you to take inventory of that. Perhaps write about that and look at it. What could be an example of that? Perhaps you're not even honest with yourself about what you're eating, if it's good for you or not. Somehow in your mind you've convinced yourself you eat all this good food. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Perhaps you're eating more than you should be. Perhaps you've convinced yourself, when someone asks you, how often do you exercise, you give them a day. Are you really doing that? Are you lying to them and, in a sense, to self, to feel good about self, where you're not? Then what's happening is your own inner self isn't actually trusting what it is that you are saying. So you need to build trust with your own self. And in doing that, then you can trust in yourself to align with the vibration that as you follow your passion and as you do the work of your calling that is coming to you, that you trust that everything will align, that you will be cared for, and that you will receive the abundance necessary to continue to do that with ease and grace, and to live in a place in which all the things that you are needing and wanting are accessible and available to you in abundance. Because you see, it is your birthright for abundance, but somehow you guys have all decided that abundance is relatable to hierarchy, depending on what you think is of value or not of value. So a lot of times people will be working at something that they hate or do not like. Let's say they're working at a bank and they really don't like that, and they really want to be an artist, but they have to keep working at the bank because they have to make money. But who is it that has said in your collective thinking that working at the bank is more valuable than creating this extraordinary, beautiful painting? One is not more valuable than another, but somehow you guys have all decided that one is and not. And it's quite interesting that collectively you have chosen the bank to be of more value than the art. Why is that? Curious, isn't it? That the creative force that brings forth creativity and life and expression is somehow seen, or music or poetry or acting or whatever, many of these things in the arts do not give, unless they're at a very super high level, the same abundance that something else that in many ways might seem a bit ordinary. And it is all around your belief that you've all decided that. And who decided that and why? And what's happening is that all these patterns in the structure are all beginning to collapse, in which you're building a new game. And what if you decide that doing that work creates enormous amount of abundance because the others begin to value it? And so if you're not valuing it, the expression of what you want to bring forth to the world in the creation process, then others aren't valuing it. And as more others value it, it becomes valued. And then it is that you are able to do it and receive that which you are needing. So when you align with a knowing of deep faith and trust, and you take that leap, you are completely protected, in the sense that things will, and it might take up to the last second, it might be 30 seconds before the deadline of your mortgage payment, but it will come. The money will always present itself in the knowing and the trusting that you're in alignment with the gift that you have to share and that you're doing it, it will show up. But it is a test, in a sense, an initiation and a willingness to take that leap of faith. And then once you pass the initiation of that threshold and you really are in trusting, you'll begin to have something occur that will verify that that is so. And once that happens, it starts to give you evidence that it is true, and you begin to then believe it. And when you begin to believe it, more evidence continues to pile on, because you're attracting more toward the belief in which you're in alignment with, until you find yourself sitting in enormous abundance, sharing the gift of what you were meant to do. And so it is really about creating that spaciousness, trusting in the now, knowing that in the presence of where it is you are, that all is well, and having faith in yourself, trust in yourself, by finding any crevices that need to be turned over where you are not really, truly living up to what you tell yourself is true.